how are you guys?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, good to see you. Yeah.
Prostituted, you know. Brutal. He's 27 especially.
I find it fascinating how little people know about this poison that it was in fact used by Adolf Hitler to subdue the German people. They were using it in the concentration camps. And we have here our friends, the best of the best, the cream. Yeah. So let me ask you this question. I'm sure you are aware that this was used by the Nazi Party, right?
Yes, I found that out recently, yes, but yes, I am aware of that now.
Are you aware why they were using it?
Well, no, that's a good question. I mean, it's a toxin, it's a neurotoxin. It's very poisonous. And it dumbs people down. From my research, I've discovered that because once it's in your system, ultimately it will end up in your brain. And it's also been associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. But I think the goal really is to dumb people down so that they're far more compliant and they'll go along with whatever policies the government wants to come up with.
If I tell you that it was used in the concentration camps to literally subdue people, to make them unwilling to rise up, to stand up and fight.
Yes, I believe that too, because I think that's part of the reason. There is no good scientific evidence that it helps anyone's health. And if people are concerned about the children's teeth and bones, we can apply that locally in the toothpaste, not that I use it myself. So that would make far more sense than putting it systemically into every kid's body. And from those recent studies that were conducted down in the States last year, they've proved beyond a shadow of doubt that it's actually dumbing the children down. It's affecting their IQ. It's basically retarding their brain development. And for me, that is outrageous, because that is then a loss of potential for those children as they grow up. And that is absolutely inexcusable, and we need to stand up against that.
You're right. Actually, it happens with the graduate process. It takes time, but eventually the whole society is dumb and unwilling to fight, unwilling to stand against tyranny. It's a total a society of people that literally become enslaved. But I think we're about to start. We're going to have a number of speakers that are going to educate the public about the danger of this poison. Some people are calling it rat poison. Well, it's not quite that bad, but it's very bad. And that's a good question. How dare you put toxic chemicals into our water without proper science? Well, this government is not about science. It's about control. And the people need to be subdued. People need to be controlled. It's money as well. We have this famous saying in Poland: if you do not know what the whole thing is all about, it's always about money. Money talks, but I think there is more here than just money. I think what is really happening is an attempt of a total control over the public. They don't want Truck Convoy 2.0 ever to happen, ever. That terrified them. When the people come together, it's over for the tyrants. When people are educated, it's over for the tyrants. When people stand up in unity, it's over for the tyrants. When people come together, that's why it was the 6 feet apart nonsense. That's why people were not allowed to have a coffee in their house with their brothers and sisters, moms and dads. It was that, the reason why they were not allowed to visit the elderly, even the elderly that were dying. All of that was a psychological, and of course with the use of law enforcement agents, an attempt to isolate people, to separate them, because when the people are together, that's a force that is unstoppable. So a few things you need to do. Take the knowledge away from the people, dumb them down, and then subdue them. How do you do that? Well, you can use chemicals. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party did it. They used chemicals. They are using chemicals. I mean, the jobs are a perfect example of chemicals that are being injected into people's bodies that are harming them, killing them. And Danielle Smith, of course, as you know, is jabbing children 6 months and 6 months young. And that's a crime against humanity. That's a crime against children. It's unbelievable what this government is doing. And you know what I find it fascinating? That people to this day, years later, still believe that the conservative government, the one that betrayed us and arrested more people than the Chinese government during that time, is actually conservative.
Everybody.
That's a shocker to me.
Thank you so much for coming.
But I think
today.
we got
Really
speakers coming.
Fabulous turnout. Yes, give yourselves a hand. Thank you so much. And we're so grateful for Daslow, who stepped forward to do this request for the injunction, and you'll meet him later, actually inside at court. But and I think for the court it starts at 2 p.m. and we're in room 1002. So that's where we're going to start. That's where the court session is. So when we're done, it starts at 2 p.m. And if you're going to join us for that, we'd really appreciate it, because it does show public support. And it's just through these doors, and then you'll go through like an airport-style security. We can't take the signs in there, so if you do want to keep a sign, you're going to have to return it to your car or whatever, right? I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be allowed to take the signs in there. Anyway, and then you go through an airport-style security, and then there's there's lots of similarities to an airport, because they have digital screens as to what cases are going on where, and elevators up to 10th floor. I regret that I left my toothpaste tube at home. I have one. It's not mine. Someone left it at my house, but it's a standard style toothpaste tube. And I was going to read to you. It lists how much fluoride is on there. It provides the dosage. Oh, Bob's got one here. I'm sure he's going to speak about it later. It provides the dosage, and it says on it the size, it says on it, do not swallow. You're not supposed to swallow fluoride. You're not supposed to swallow what's in that tube. And, oh yeah, this is an American toothpaste tube he's got there. It actually says, if you swallow it, to contact poison control. In Canada, it says, use the dosage. It defines dosage twice a day and not to exceed that dosage. And for younger children, it's much, much less. So if we're not supposed to swallow it, why are we putting it in our drinking water to swallow, right? And my dictionary says a dosage is the size and frequency of a dose of a medicine or a drug. So right there on the toothpaste tube, it says a dosage, and a dosage is for a medicine or a drug. So by them putting it in the water, they are drugging us without our consent. I did not consent. Advocates of fluoridation will say a fluoride ion is a fluoride ion. Fluoride is the most reactive most volatile element on the periodic table. As such, it reacts readily with other elements and produces some of the worst compounds, some of the most dangerous compounds. In fact, all 6 of what they have identified as forever chemicals are fluoride compounds. So PTFE, the Teflon coating, which has been banned now, it is a fluoride compound, PFOA and PTFE. The fluoride storage and injection facilities, they've got separate buildings here in Calgary that they had to build, are such dangerous places for workers. And Safe Water Calgary has received messages from people who have stories of their injuries, and those are permanent disability kind of things with their brittle bones and things like that have happened to them from breathing in the fluoride and coming in contact with it. Okay, so for our first speaker here today, I'm going to introduce Dawn. Dawn will tell you about some health effects and how it affects her. Thank you very much, Dawn, for volunteering to do this and share us your story.
Thanks everyone for coming. I'm just going to actually reiterate some of the things that Adele said. I'm an activist and a loud voice for the unheard and the voiceless. This is why I'm speaking out against water fluoridation. It also has a personal effect to me due to my medical condition, which is called lipidemia, which is with an I, because some people get it mixed up with lymphedema. Although I have had lymphedema my entire life, I was only diagnosed a year and a half ago. Approximately 1 in 10 women are thought to be affected by the disease. This disease is directly impacted during the highest hormonal times in a woman's life. So why should you care about fluoride, how fluoride affects the hormones? I copied a YouTube transcript which will explain in 3 minutes how it affects this. Dr. Janie Brown's, and you'll have to forgive my pronunciation sometimes. My husband says it's enduring, so. I found her transcript to be very excellent. So I'm just going to read 3 minutes of it. And this is her speaking. I'm talking about fluoride toxicity and the hormonal effects of fluoride toxicity. So we know that fluoride, unfortunately, because of semiconduction, can block the electrical current that cells need to communicate along with DHA and of course vitamin B12 in our nervous system. So there's something called a myelin sheath, hope I pronounced that right, on our nerve cells, and fluoride can actually block that signaling along with the chemical pathways in that electrical pathway. So it's very important that we are really paying attention to fluoride toxicity and making sure that we are decreasing our exposure to fluoride in our diet and water, which is something, of course, that I just discussed in other videos on how to do that. Fluoride does replace iodine, so on the periodic table is something that I showed in another video as well, that fluoride and iodine are in the same grouping. So we see fluoride here, chlorine, bromine, as well as iodine, meaning that in terms of chemical structures and in the outer electron shall be very similar. Now, because fluoride is higher up in the chart, it is lighter and the weight is more volatile. It's more reactive, and this is why replacing iodine can really mess up our thyroid function. We definitely know that our thyroid gland is reliant on having enough iodine, but in women, the breast tissue is also reliant on iodine as well. So things like fibrotic breast disease can be worsened by fluoride toxicity issues as well as thyroid function, which can be hampered and hindered by having that fluoride toxicity. So making sure that we are finding all those places where we may have that exposure to fluoride and getting rid of those things from our daily lives is very important for our hormonal system. This can also translate into something called pregnant women's still syndrome, because this can affect the RAIM and anogestium system, which is important for our kidney function and for being able to hold onto water in our body. So often these people that have fluoride toxicity, you could be having cravings for a lot of salty foods, which often sort out which often sort of put together with adrenal fatigue. But this is part of that fluoride toxicity story as well. So craving salty foods, you're drinking because you're thirsty all the time, and yet you're getting that salt and that loss of salt because that fluoride is now replacing that iodine where we would normally have that iodine in our system. So to make things simple, the fluoride is toxic. It will definitely be an endocrine disruptor, meaning it will offset your entire endocrine system and mess up your hormones, and it's something that definitely you will have to decrease your exposure to and get that fluoride out of your body. In closing, I think the average individual probably doesn't know a lot about this information. I think many people who may have voted do not have the whole story, and that's why we encourage you to go to safewatercalgary.com to find out the facts, because this affects so many people's vitality, especially children and pets. Global News did a story on this, and I thought that they mentioned something quite well, which is that people could get their fluoride from their toothpaste or fluoride drops. I'm pretty sure $28 million that was used to make the infrastructure for fluoride would have covered this sufficiently. People should have the right to choose. Is this not Canada? Time to stay strong so we can be fluoride free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dawn. And your lovely assistant. Advocates of fluoride say it's just a mineral. You probably saw this, shall I call it propaganda, on the news when they announced that the date for the return of water fluoridation was June 30th. And on the city website, the mineral fluoride will be returned to the water on June 30th. That's what they call it. But I'd like to ask you, have you ever heard of a mineral called mercury? Or lead? Or arsenic? Should we be consuming those? What is the fluoride source used in water fluoridation? It's not a pharmaceutical grade product. It's an industrial waste byproduct. City administrators won't provide vendor names or certificates of purity or MSDS sheets, the material safety data sheets. If you want information, you have to sleuth the web or initiate a FOIP request, and you'll very often get a complete decline or very heavily redacted, and we've done that. If you live without access to fluoride, you could still have very healthy teeth, and if you think about it, our species is here without access to drinking fluoride. It's not essential for healthy teeth or bones. It's recognized by industry due to PR campaigns, propaganda actually, which was initiated when the fertilizer industry realized they had a problem and there were health issues in animals and humans around the fertilizer plants, as well as birth defects. So they hired the father of public relations, the American pioneer of marketing and propaganda. His name was Ed Bernays, and as well as being Freud's nephew, he has a long list of public relations, propaganda, and marketing campaigns that have dramatically influenced our current way of life. For example, wristwatches for men. At the time, only women wore wristwatches because it was considered jewelry, and men didn't wear jewelry. So there was a propaganda campaign around that. Safety in like a foxhole, that was one of the strategies they used. Smoking, that was his propaganda campaign. Drinking orange juice, and the traditional American breakfast of bacon and eggs. And then I think he also worked on Kellogg's Eat Cornflakes campaign. The state of Utah banned fluoride May 7, 2025. The water facilities called authorities asking what they should do with their surplus product. And they were told that they are now considered generators of hazardous waste. And they were met with strict handling regulations and dangerous goods guidelines to find a facility to dispose of it at great expense. In fact, it costs more to dispose of it than it does to use it in water to purchase it for that purpose. So you can see why the propaganda campaign. Our next speaker is Art. Art is a long-time, hard-working man on this regard and other things, and he's going to tell you about some of the things that he's done.
Yeah. Well, it's funny to stand here in the shadow of this building and talk to you about the rights, our rights that aren't being protected by anyone in this building or in our government. We have the right for sanctity of our own body. We have the right under the Alberta Bill of Rights not to be medicated without our consent. Fluoridation is medication without consent. It's clear. The New Zealand Supreme Court said in 2018, it's medication without consent that you cannot opt out of. The Supreme Court of Canada said in 1957 that it's medication without consent. So where is our government? You know, they keep blaming, the provincial government blames the municipal government, and the municipal government blames the provincial government and Health Canada. Well, Health Canada hasn't ruled one iota on what the product that they're putting in our water, hydrofluorosilicic acid, HFSA, they're putting in our water. It's an unregulated product. It's toxic waste. It's waste from the smokestacks of the phosphate fuel industry. Fertilizer industry. So who actually looks after this? Should it be the city? The city's ask the province for permission to put in their water. Or should it be the province? The province gives the city permission to put this poison in our water. Both sides blame the other side, and the federal government, they blame everyone else but themselves. And either one of these bodies could stop this. Either City Hall or the Minister of Environment, Rebecca Schultz. She could stop this at a stroke of a pen. But it's too political. They don't want to do it. All they say is that, well, 62% of the people voted for it. Well, they didn't. 62% of the people did not vote to fluoridate me. 11% of the population might have. They were uninformed. Only 200,000 people answered the the initiative on the 2021 election. And that's 200,000 people are saying that you should be medicated. You should harm people that are pregnant, that are young children. Could impact their IQ. But no one wants to do it because it's too political. They just come up with this number, 62%. And it's not 62%, but it makes them afraid. So our job, everyone here's job, is to bug both levels of government. To ask the politicians who are running for municipal election, what's your stand on fluoride? There's going to be a whole new council coming. October.
Are you going to post that somewhere?
Yeah, it's
Art
I can't hear you. Let's
If
go
they
down.
don't see the numbers, they won't do anything. So that's everyone here.
It's on Artur Pawlowski, Facebook. Hey. Good. That's good. Yeah, well, crazy times. Well, another day in this wretched city, province. We the people, we are being betrayed at every corner. We're not being represented by those that we're paying their salaries. They do not care about the people. You have to understand that the government in this country, in Canada or as many people are referring it to China right now, has a goal. And we must start recognizing that goal. What is their goal? Why they're doing what they're doing? Why there is lawlessness? Why there is no justice? Why anyone that dares to oppose their agenda is being prosecuted, persecuted, and dragged before the courts over and over again, like the whistleblower Derek Reimer, of course, what happened to me, what happened to the Quds 4, the trio, you name it. Hundreds of people in this province are still in court system for simply expressing their views because the government has an agenda. The federal government, the provincial government, and the municipal government, they have an agenda. What is their agenda? Well, they are repercussions like what happened to us, what is happening to Derek Reimer and others. I mean, we got to remember that in the province of Alberta, under the watchful eyes of our modern day tyrant, the Premier Danielle Smith, with her government, so-called conservative government, that arrested more pastors than the Chinese government during that crazy season. Well, they are doing everything in their power to either scare the people by using political dissidents as an example, just like the Communist Party did, just like the Nazi Party did. It's all the same tactics, the same things. Find a leader and crack on that leader to send a message. Let that person become a symbol. This is what happens to those that oppose us. And of course, they are doing this as we speak. The next step is to make sure that others will not rise up, others that perhaps are brave and they are willing to pay the price. There are not many, but there are some people that are willing to pay the price. And to ensure that they are not going to be able to do it, well, you can use chemicals. Adolf Hitler, with his Nazi party, used fluoride. He used it to subdue the people, and he started it in the concentration camps to make sure that the prisoners will be apathetic, unwilling to fight, unwilling to rise up, unwilling. You see, there are all kinds of ways to castrate a man. And they have chosen this chemical, this poison, to literally castrate people's brain, to make it ineffective, to create a society that will just say, yes, sir, I'm not willing to do anything, I'm not willing to stand up, I will not do anything, I see nothing, I hear nothing, and I will therefore say nothing. I'll keep my mouth shut. That's what's happening. People have to understand that they are not stopping. They are moving slowly, forwarding their globalistic agenda. The New World Order, one government, one religion, one monetary system. That's what they're doing. And for whatever reason, it's not clicking here. It's the people, the society is not understanding yet what's really going on to them and to their children. I always thought that the society will be willing to stand up, at least for the children. Well, that's not happening in Canada. It looks like the Canadians are willfully going to the slaughterhouse, to Cargill, and they're just enjoying their ride. I mean, it's nice, it's awesome, they can go sightseeing, and oops, one after another, they're going to the slaughterhouse. So this is not going to stop. In my opinion, Canada is gone. In my opinion, the society went to the left so far that there is no fixing it until people will start hurting, really hurting. I mean, when the people lose their properties, when they lose their, not just rights, but money. You know, money talks. I think that's what is going to happen. I think that the people, when they're going to start hurting financially, then they're going to rise up. That's why the fluoride is needed. It's needed to dumb them up. When this happens, well, they need to have a backup plan. And the backup plan is, we want to make sure that those people will not be capable to stand up, rise up. Well, we got the sheriffs here. see what they are doing.
Sorry. You've heard them from people who have been disabled from those. I have a son who is disabled. I will not allow him to drink the city water. I will not put fluoride on my vegetables. I will not.
In my opinion, Canadian society has been already subdued. I mean, if you talk to a majority of people, they would not be able to say even what's the problem, what's the issue. I think they are completely clueless into understanding how dangerous this poison is. They don't get it, they don't understand. The idea of what the government was doing for the past 40, 50 years was give them nice restaurants, give them hockey games and golf, give them an illusion of private property and a nice paychecks, and that will ensure their people's compliance. Well, they did not realize that slowly but surely the government was implementing more and more restrictions on their lives. And it's quite fascinating. They missed it as a society because what the government did was give them bread and circus. So as long as the bread was coming and the entertainment was coming their way, as long as the people were entertained, everything was fine. Give them bread and circus. So what we have right now is bread and circus, but people have no real rights, no protection from the law. We're dealing with crooked judges, lying crown prosecutors like Stephen Johnston, people that are making stuff up, con artists in a court system, pathological liars, manipulators, deceivers, and they can get away with this because they are being supported by the propaganda media, by the professional liars. Also, they are protected by the law enforcement agencies. The whole system was supposed to protect the people, we the people. However, the system is protecting the con artists, the regime, and that's always the case. That's always the case. Throughout generations, history is teaching us that the progress always is happening the same way, and we are observing a collapse of democracy in Canada. This is not a democratic country. Canada has fallen. Justice system has fallen. There are no checks and balances. There's no accountability because people allowed it. You have to understand that it's the people. People got the power. If they would rise up and say no, this would never happen, but they are not. They are more interested in watching politicians flipping pancakes than keeping them accountable. There is zero accountability in the land right now, and all the parties are the same. You have to understand, all of them are the same. Maybe different color on their flags, but they are the same people. The NDP, the Liberals, and the Conservatives are the same. Con artists, liars, deceivers, and they should be charged with treason. But it's not happening, and it will take a while for the people to realize that. So in the meantime, people will have to hurt. Unfortunately, that's history.
13 people at City Hall, 16 people at City Hall. It is their doing, and there's a handful of them that voted against it, and so those are actually the most important ones to target when you're out there, because I've targeted them, I've commented, I've messaged Dan McLean, for example. He's, somebody, he presents himself as a freedom, right-wing conservative. So I called him out on it. I said, you're responsible for this. And he says, oh, no, I voted against it. I did my part, but I'm just one vote. That's it. That's all he's got to say about it, right? So what does he do when he says that? Well, he validates that process. they had no right to even do a vote. If he knew what he was doing and he was on our side, I would have abstained from it and said, no, this is wrong. This is not our mandate. City Hall is not our job to medicate people. We pay them to clean our water. So when we drink from the tap, we have the freshest, cleanest water in the world coming from the Elbow River, from the Rocky Mountains. A little bit of chlorine we have to tolerate if we want to get rid of the bacteria, and that's about it. That's it. So call them out. Call them out on that BS when they fall back on it. Another one, Sonia Sharp. She's running for mayor. I call her out on it. What does she say? Well, I respect the results of the plebiscite. That was her answer. It's a cop-out. They're just copping out. They're gaslighting you. You should know these people, they're trained. They have handlers. They all know how to respond to this garbage. Whether they voted against it or for it, the fact that it passed and the fact that it's happening means that they are all in it together. They are all complicit. Every one of them, it's a show when they have some against and some not. Until you see one of them that is vocally speaking out, challenging the validity, the legality of this in the first place and demanding an end to it, they're not on your side. You got to call them on their BS. Sonia Sharp's another one. No, call her out on it. This should be the top election issue. We got 3 months to go for this city election. This should be the top issue. This is a very, very serious issue. They're poisoning our water supply. You might think everything's fine because it's not immediate. You don't see the effects the next day or the next week. This is a cumulative, slow drip thing. It's a very serious thing, and we need to set these boundaries for our government. It's very important we define these boundaries and we're very firm about it, and we don't get sucked into their debate because all they want to do is buy time, and they're going to say, oh, well, let's hold another plebiscite. Let's see what everyone thinks now. I don't care. I don't care. Also, you know, let's pretend you are playing in their little fantasy world that this is all legit. Okay, well, what is it? 11% of the population said they want fluoride. What about the 150,000 people that have moved to Calgary in the last 3 years since they did the plebiscite? Do they get a say in it? What about the 70,000 people moving here every year? In a couple of years, we're going to have 2 million people. Are they going to keep doing this plebiscite every year? Because it's going to be less and less. That plebiscite number from 11 is going to be 7 and 8 and 6% eventually. It's nonsense. And one final thing, like, I just want to give you, I enjoy, if you are out there trying to have this conversation with a normie that, you know, buys into the propaganda, non-scientific, the most direct approach, don't even need to talk science with them. I ask, how does drinking fluoride benefit your teeth? It's a very simple question. You will find nobody's able to answer that. And they said, what do you mean? I said, how does drinking fluoride benefit your teeth? None of these studies that talk about the benefits of fluoride for your teeth, they just talk about how fluoride benefits your teeth. They don't talk about how it gets in your teeth. When you brush your teeth, when you go to the dentist, what happens? Direct contact, it gets absorbed. Even if you think it's good for your teeth, it has to come into direct contact. Pay attention next time you drink a glass of water. Tell me if that water is running through your teeth or not. I don't think so. So when does it touch your teeth? Oh, when I rinse my mouth. When do you rinse your mouth? After brushing your teeth with fluoride. It's stupid. It's ridiculous, okay? So you can crush that instantly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Yes, the councillors will the ones they didn't want to address this before the election because it's an election year. They'll also say that we spent $28 million. Well, there was a certain amount of money, $9 or $11 million. Then there was, oh, we need more money, so another 11 or whatever $million that they voted on. And then there was a subsequent, I don't know the order of this, but there was a subsequent request for money that administration just did without council consent. They just did it because we have to finish the project, right? We have to. But how much is it collectively costing Calgarians to deal with this? And not just Calgarians, but people from Airdrie, Chestermere, Strathmore, Tsuut'ina Nation, portions of Tsuut'ina Nation and Foothills County that didn't get to vote. They didn't even get to vote. And they're forced to consume our water. The co-sponsor for the bill in Utah said with water fluoridation, community water fluoridation and individual consent does not coexist. Anyway, I crunched the numbers on how much water.
Well, there you go. I think you've heard enough. I mean, this is what the government in Calgary, Alberta, under the leadership of Danielle Smith is doing. She's no longer jobbing our children 6 months and older. A recommendation by the Alberta Health Services is every 3 months, another job. Well, the public inquiry stated the doctors said stop the jobbing immediately because it's hurting children. Well, they're not. She has those documents. The Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, her Conservative government has this information for a year right now. When the doctors are yelling and screaming, stop this. This is not good. This is hurting children. Children are dying because of it. Stop. Well, they're not stopping because there is an agenda behind it. It's a globalistic agenda. Well, a next step is poison in the water because you cannot escape it. How can you escape poison in the water? Well, you can't. You need to drink, and you need to find out the methods or ways of destroying this poison. And majority of people don't know how. They don't have equipment to take that or to remove that. I don't know even how much you can remove from water. So this is a willful act. This is not by accident. This is not, I don't know what I'm doing. I want you to understand that the government knows what they're doing. They are doing it on purpose. This is a willful attack on us, on Albertans. Alberta historically is the best province that has the power to oppose the tyranny, and they're afraid of Albertans. They want to dumb us down because they're afraid of the uprising. They're afraid that the people might stand up and say no more, especially right now with this idea of separation, idea of we want to be our own country and be responsible for our own destiny. It scares the globalists. They don't want this movement, so let's poison the people. Hitler did it and it worked. Now the Conservative government is doing it, and it will work if people will not rise up, if they will not stand up. It will work, and people will be hurting. Children are going to be hurting. That's just how it goes, unless people will say enough is enough. Will they? I don't think so. Unfortunately, I think that we have to wait a little bit longer for the people to hurt more. And I said this thousands of times. I'm going to keep saying it. The history is teaching us that when people are hurting, then they have tendency to rise up, stand up. And I don't think we are there yet. I think we're getting there. We're slowly moving towards that. But I don't think we are there yet. I think as a society, we don't even know what's really going on. They're not educating us history, right? Children do not know history at all. They do not know what happened before. They don't understand that the history has a tendency to repeat itself. What it was, it will be, unless we oppose that. So anyway, I think you got the picture. Calgary, Alberta, Canada, they are poisoning our waters. They're trying to murder people. They're trying to destroy the children, pregnant mothers. It's horrible, it's evil, it's wrong. As you've heard the speaker, 11% only voted on this. The rest of the people, well, who cares about others? As you've heard, they did not even talk to the native reserves. They didn't care about their opinion. All this garbage of acknowledging the lands and all of that is a show. It's a political theater. That's what it is. It's just a political theater. In the end of the day, they want them out. They want them to be destroyed. That's why they did not even bother asking them about anything. So the fight continues. If you want to support what we do, go to streetchurch.ca, 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 and we'll keep fighting. We'll keep fighting. My lawsuit and David's lawsuit is ongoing. Please support us if you can. I mean, the prices are astronomical. The process is punishment. You can't get justice without tons of money, a pail of money. They count on that. They count of a lack of support. They count that no one will care, that we will be isolated, alone, and of course for the easy picking. So help us. Go to streetchurch.ca and please support us. Streetchurch.ca. Be blessed, stay strong, and see you next time.
Right now we have 5,000 professionals signed up for a Fluoride Action Network letter opposing fluoridation. But there's hundreds of thousands of medical doctors, scientists, nurses, lawyers, other practitioners out there that oppose fluoride. They're just afraid to do it because they take out people. They took out one of our best practitioners, and I won't mention his name because his wife might be here today. But they took him out the day after we delivered those red and white flyers to 410,000 Calgary homes before the last petition. And they said to him, if you associate with Safe Water Calgary for one more day, we're going to take your license and your livelihood away. Guess what? If you look at our website at that poster, it's still there, but there's a blank space where that dentist used to be. One of the top dentists in Canada. That's just a shame. So, damage to kids' teeth. There's way more effective programs like the Scottish Child Smile program. It's a waste of our tax dollars because 90 to 99% of water goes down the drain without being drank. And so even if it did work, it's a poor use, it's a poor means of medicating people. So, proven as a medicine, as we've heard before, they're not allowed by law to put a medicine in our water. It's against our rights, our Alberta Bill of Rights. So, yeah. We're going to contact after the court today. We're going to keep after our government. We're going to keep after our municipality, and we need all your support. So we got lots of signs up here. Please grab a sign to take home and put on your front yard if you don't have one already. We'd suggest just a small donation to Safe Water Calgary, or a big one like Margaret's going to do. All you have to do is on our website where the petition button is, right beside it's a donate button, and you can do a direct e-transfer right to Safe Water Calgary to help us with all these expenses of putting thousands of copies into our court. Okay, one last word, fluoridation, don't swallow it. Okay, how about one more, fluoridation, don't swallow it. Hell no, hell no. One more time, hell no. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Okay, we have a very brave man who's going to come speak to us now about medical issues and his real sensitivity to fluoride. Thank you very much. Khaled.
Thank you, Margaret. So my name is Khaled Abdullah, and hopefully I'm pretty sure
we have our warrior that came as well. You're looking good. You've got your horsey.
Surrounding communities, I rely on Germany.
Yeah, I don't want poison in my water.
So
thank you very much. No.
Me and my children.
That's a good choice.
We had no vote, no survey, no outreach, and no meaningful opportunity to protect ourselves.
Okay, guys. God bless. See you next time.
So for me, this is not a general effort.